Hello everybody, I'm a fatty and you can call me fatty, but today we are going to go over a modular power supply. Specifically it will be tappers and generators, but we have a massive power output and I'm really happy with how this build worked out, so let's get right into it. So to start off, you are going to need 8 of the Attacticus. Because these ones produce specifically at 1 every 10 seconds. If you want, you could have this, and we'll talk about that a little more in the future, but if you wanted to have it, you could do 8 of the honeypots instead, because those produce 1 every 20 seconds. So we've got 3 auto arms. You can do 4. I prefer 4 because it provides a little bit better coverage, but 3 is technically enough. And then you're going to fill up one side of a large platform C with glow sticks, and then put 12 smelters of the portable smelters in the middle there. And this is just 2 medium storage units, and then it will spit it all that over to there. And then we have the carbon. It's being picked up here and fed onto these, and this is 2 extra large platform C's with the large silos. So each one provides a total of about 400 per 400 per platform, or 800 per bay. And if you look here, I have a total of 6 bays, so we've got about 1600, 1600, 800, for a grand total output of about 47 to 4900, depending on where they are at. The build itself is relatively simple, but one thing I do want to point out here is I have these segment pins, and it looks a little bit intimidating, but it is actually not all that complicated at all. All it is, if I can get over there. Alright, so all it is a bunch of these delay repeaters set to max and stacked up. You can see that. So I have 4 for a total of 100 ticks, and then I've got looks like a 5th one. Okay, so it's a total of 6. Oh, sorry. 4 delay repeaters set up to this counter, and then this counter sets off the delay repeater, and I'll show you how to set this up in a minute, but basically all it is this delay repeater sets off the count repeater. The count repeater is set to 4, and then once it hits 4, it triggers this delay repeater, which is set to 5, and all it does is turn off the arms and turn them back on, because you can see right here this auto arm here is frozen, and I'm not sure why that happens, but I found out if you turn it off and turn it back on, then it does fix it. So if you watch, it should be pretty quick here. Looks like we got 1 more tick, and then that should set that off, and it'll turn it off, turn it back on, and then that will start to function again. Alright, and there we go. So that's all that's required, is it just turns it off, turns it back on. You don't have to do that optimization, but sometimes it becomes a little bit inconsistent if you don't. So just so you're aware of that. And then up on top is where we have the fun part. But let me take a ride up there real quick. All right. So up here we have 128 batteries, which stores about 1,000,000 U, and it increased my output to approximately 8,000 U a second, which you may be asking, why do I have this much power? And the answer is that over here we're going to have a building that'll craft everything. We're obviously still in the works for that, but I'm hoping to have this done by the time the new DLC drops. So if you're interested in that, make sure you follow along with that. Alright, so right here we have everything we should need. This is so we got our delay repeaters here, our button repeater over here, and then we have our count repeater. So the count repeater we're going to set to 4, and that'll be right there. We're going to have our delay repeater here. This is going to turn the auto arms back on, and then these 4 we're going to set to the max. Alright, and then we're just going to stack them up. Alright, so this is going to go into here, and then we're going to branch it back into itself to start the cycle again. And then the count repeater is going to do that. And then, so what's going to happen here is we're going to have this. Okay, so these 4 are only going to be in your one area. So I've got 6 bays. This is stuck on the wall. And so what this is going to do is this is going to trigger. It'll play through 4 loops of 25, and then we'll start it over again. So it'll be a total of 16 delay repeaters essentially with this counter. And then the counter will send out a pulse, and then 5 ticks later, this will send out a pulse. So that's going to turn the auto arms off and then back on. All right, so let's, just to show that, let's start this cycle up real quick. All right, so now that this has started, we should be good. You can see it going. And I'm actually, okay, so it'll start. All right, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this down to 2 ticks just so that we can see how it works. But if you want to, you can make it longer in between each pulse by dragging it up to 5 to 8. 4 is the spot that I prefer, but obviously whatever you want to do works just as well. And then once you're working on extending it, the way that I like to do it is each of these has, okay, there you go, you can see that. So these are going to be attached to the auto arms, so it'll be, do that, 2, 3, and 4, and then you'll do the same thing with each of the auto arms. There's 3 and 4. All right, and then going into the next bay, you're just going to branch and branch. So same thing for each of these 2. All right, so both these are going to branch off into the other area, and then if you run out, because this has 4, so this will do 2 bays. Since the count repeater uses a couple extra branches, but once you branch into the 3rd bay, if you need to, then you can just drop a delay repeater with a delay of 1 for each of these, and then it'll just give you essentially 11 more branches for each of them, so you can do a couple more bays. And that is everything. I will go through so you can kind of see where those branches are placed, just so it's a little more clear. All right, so let's go in here. And all right, so here we are. So here you can see we've got a delay repeater here, and then you can see I put my segment pins here, 1 up to here with this delay repeater at 1, and then in the next bay I finished with branch to the other delay repeater, just like that. And then you can see, so each of these, I just tried to keep one, the segment that turns the branches on, I tried to keep it at the top, and the one that turns it off goes on the bottom. And then you can see I just poked 2 into each base, and then every about minute or so it pulses, and there you go. For those wondering about the splitter, what I did here, okay, I don't have my narrow mod, but what I did was I had a wall the regular thickness, and then I used a leveling block to bump it up just a little bit, and then that splitter sticks out the top, and you can actually see I can actually access the cable plugs here, and then I just have each of these bays plugged into one of these splitters so I can monitor them and see and just make sure that each of them is outputting where they should be. And then on this last one, it is an odd number, but you can see I've got 1600 and 3200 roughly, so those are looking good. Alright guys, one thing I forgot to say is that each bay will cost a total of 109 aluminum, 96 astronium, 2 ceramic, 7 graphite, 6 iron, 17 resin, 24 steel, 94 tungsten, and 7 zinc. And that is going to be for each bay. Alright guys, that is going to do it for me today. If you have any questions, comments, or optimizations, feel free to hit me up in the comments. And otherwise, I will see you next time when I try to lay out my plan here for the crafting area. So, good luck and happy hunting.